Milford was the only upset in the first round of the playoffs, with number 2 seed Leominster and number 4 seed Grafton Hill each coming through with victories. That set up the ultimate test for Milford in the semifinals, pitting Post 59 against top-seeded Northbridge. Northbridge ended their regular season with a dominant 19-5 record, with 2 of their regular season wins coming against Milford. Due to another quirk in this year's playoffs, Milford would have the chance to open the semifinals at home, so Post 59 would have home field advantage on their side as they got set to take on their longtime nemesis.
Game 1 of the Zone 4 semifinals would take place under the lights of Pheno Field. Milford entered the game knowing they had to take care of business, or else they would face the ultimate uphill battle of needing back-to-back wins on the road in Northbridge. After Coach DeVito was forced to use both Kevin Valentine and Kyle Nocera in the team's win at Shrewsbury, it would be the Milford High grad Alex Croteau who would be tasked with holding down the Post 343 offense, who had posted an average of 6 runs per game in the regular season. Croteau would retire the first 2 batters in the top of the first, but would run into trouble from there as Austin Young and Dylan Jepson would reach on back-to-back base hits. Teddy Carey would then send a pitch out to left center field, making a bid for a 2-out RBI hit, but by now teams should know better than to test the dynamic defensive ability of Kevin Lynch. Lynch would add another diving grab to his sparkling resume, delivering Milford out of the early jam unscathed. Teddy Carey would be the man on the mound for Northbridge to start their playoff run. After retiring the first 4 batters of the game, Blake Hill was the first to get to Carey, driving a pitch to the opposite field for a leadoff double, making it 4 consecutive games with an extra base hit for Hill. Hill would remain at second with 2 outs in the inning. Kyle Nocera was then able to send a ball out to shallow right center. Hill would turn on the Jets as he rounded third base, setting up a bang-bang play at the plate. Hill would use a great feet-first slide to just get around the tag from catcher Isaiah Alvarado, and that would allow Milford to take a 1-0 lead. Meanwhile, Alex Croteau would successfully keep the Northbridge bats quiet through the early innings. He would hit 2 batters in the top of the 4th, but was able to get key strikeouts of Dylan Jepson and Nate Spas, and would ultimately get out of the inning with no damage done. Finally, in the top of the 5th, Northbridge would look to use some small ball to ignite their offense. Isaiah Alvarado would open the inning with a bunt attempt out in front of the plate. Croteau and catcher Michael Ryan would have a moment of indecision over who would handle the bunt, and that proved to be crucial as Croteau's throw to first was too late, putting the tying run at first base to lead off the inning. A sacrifice would send the runner to second, and then Croteau was able to get leadoff man Justin Stone on a line out, leaving him just 1 out away from ending the inning. But number 2 hitter Matt Nichols would slice a ball to the opposite field that would chase Alvarado home from second, tying the game 1-1. Teddy Carey would hold the Milford offense scoreless in the bottom of the 5th, and then would spark another Northbridge rally in the top of the 6th, reaching on a 1-out single. Post 343 would then use another bunt play to their advantage. This time it was Nate Spas who would drop one down the third base line. Michael Ryan would field the bunt, but his throw would bounce in front of first baseman Kevin Valentine and would ricochet down the right field line, allowing Carey to come all the way around to score the go-ahead run. Northbridge would pick up an insurance run on this 2-out RBI single off the bat of Isaiah Alvarado, giving Post 343 a 2-run cushion. The score would remain unchanged all the way to the bottom of the 7th, leaving Milford 3 outs away from defeat. Teddy Carey would be back out on the hill looking for the complete game effort. His control had been razor sharp all game, but it would finally start to waver against Blake Hill, who was able to work the first Milford walk of the game, giving Post 59 a leadoff base runner. Kevin Valentine would then hit a grounder to first that would tick off the end of the glove of first baseman Dylan Jepson and out into right, placing the tying runs on base with no outs. After a strikeout by Kyle Nocera, Aiden Wild would come through with a single to right, bringing Blake Hill to the plate and cutting the Northbridge lead to 1. Milford would have the tying run at second and the winning run at first with just 1 out in the inning, but Teddy Carey would find a way to induce back-to-back fly ball outs from Drew Wild and Andrew McMillan to end the ball game. Despite a great comeback bid from Milford, Northbridge was able to take Game 1 of the series by a final score of 3-2. That Game 1 loss placed Milford on the brink of elimination. To keep their playoff hopes alive, they would need to claim a victory in Game 2 on the road at a field no Milford team has won at since 2011. Milford would be handed a golden opportunity to take a first-inning lead. Nate Spaz would drop an easy pop-up from leadoff man Andrew McMillan, and then Kevin Lynch would single. Matt DeCina would sacrifice both men into scoring position ahead of the dangerous duo of Michael Ryan and Blake Hill. Starting pitcher Tommy Sperino would manage to retire Ryan on a strikeout and then got Hill to ground the ball weakly to the mound, and Milford would squander the early chance. Milford would see their first two hitters reach base again in the third inning on back-to-back singles by Drew Wild and Andrew McMillan. The runners would advance to second and third with 2 outs before Michael Ryan sent a slow-rolling ground ball past the pitcher. Second baseman Justin Stone would dive behind the bag to snag the grounder and was able to get to his feet and fire to first, just beating the hustling Ryan by a step, preventing the go-ahead run from crossing the plate. Meanwhile, after tossing 35 pitches in relief just 2 days prior, Kyle Nocera would be called upon to make the start in this do-or-die game. Back in the first inning, Nocera would retire the leadoff batter before Matt Nichols would hit a routine grounder to shortstop. Matt DeCina would airmail the throw to first, allowing Nichols to reach on the error. Nocera was able to pitch his way around the miscue and would then proceed to elevate his game to a new level over the next several innings. In the second, Nocera would strike out the side in order, getting Teddy Carey, Nate Spaz, and Robbie Frazier all on swinging strike threes. In the third inning, it was Isaiah Alvarado, Tyler Galimi, and Justin Stone who would all fall by way of the K. Nocera would then strike out Matt Nichols to open the fourth inning, completing a stretch of 7 consecutive batters, all set down on strikeouts. Austin Young and Dylan Jepson would finally put the bat on the ball in the inning, but neither could reach base, and we would head to the fifth inning still scoreless. Conditions would start to deteriorate in Northbridge in that fifth inning, but despite the raindrops, Nocera would remain dominant, notching back-to-back Ks against Teddy Carey and Nate Spaz to open the inning, bringing his total for the game up to 9. Robbie Frazier would then ground the ball to third, ending the inning, and Kyle Nocera would have a no-hitter going through 5. But as Milford walked off the field, you could see the rain starting to intensify, and thunder would begin to rumble in the distance. The teams would try to battle through the top of the 6th. Kevin Lynch would swing at the first pitch of the inning, popping out to second base. That would prove to be the final play of the day. Torrential downpours would force this semifinal game to be suspended, leaving Milford's playoff fate to be decided the following afternoon. The sun was back out in Northbridge on Sunday, setting the stage for 2 innings that would decide whether we would see a deciding Game 3 or the end of the season for Post 59. After 5 1/3 shutout innings from Tommy Sperino on Saturday, Northbridge would look to Dylan Jepson to continue to hold down the Milford bats. Michael Ryan would come through with a 2-out single in the top of the 6th, but Jepson would strike out Blake Hill to end the inning. Northbridge may have needed to go to their bullpen after the game resumed on Sunday, but Milford stuck with their starting pitcher Kyle Nocera, who would take his no-hit bid into the bottom of the 6th. Isaiah Alvarado was the first Northbridge batter of the resumed game. He would send a ball slowly through the middle of the infield that somehow found its way between DeCina and Drew Wild, and so after 5 no-hit innings on Saturday, Nocera would allow his first base hit to lead off the 6th. Tyler Galimi would then sacrifice Alvarado to second before Justin Stone popped out, leaving the inning up to Matt Nichols. It was Nichols who came through with the game-tying hit at Pheno Field on Friday night. Here he would lift a pitch out to shallow center. Once again, Kevin Lynch would get a great jump on the ball, and he would go into the head-first dive, hoping to take away a hit as he had done so many times on the year. But this time Lynch's dive came up just short, and that would allow Alvarado to score, breaking the deadlock and leaving Milford 3 outs away from elimination. But Post 59 would refuse to give up without a fight. With 1 out in the 7th, Jepson would deliver an inside pitch to Aiden Wild that would just clip his uniform sleeve, giving Milford a glimmer of hope. Kyle Nocera would then come through with a single, and Drew Wild would work a walk, loading the bases with 1 out. With that tying run ever so close at third base, Milford would see their team leader in batting average, Andrew McMillan, come to the plate. After taking the first pitch in the dirt, McMillan would swing away at the next offering, sending the ball on the ground up the middle. The shortstop Galimi would pick it up on a hop and took the ball to the second base bag for the out there. His throw to first base would be high, but Teddy Carey was able to leap to make the catch, and he would come down on the first base bag just ahead of McMillan, finishing off the 6-3 double play that would end the game and the season for Post 59. It was an agonizing end for Milford, who gave the top seed everything they could handle. But in the end, Northbridge would eliminate Milford from the playoffs, winning Game 2 by a final score of 1-0.
Game 2 was truly a game of inches. Milford was inches away from taking the lead in the third. Kevin Lynch was inches away from making the catch in the sixth. And Andrew McMillan was inches away from beating out that double play ball, which would have tied the game. The loss left Milford's players and fans devastated. It's just the first time in 4 years that Post 59 will not represent Zone 4 in state tournament play. Meanwhile, Northbridge advanced to the Zone 4 finals, where they locked up with Grafton Hill in a series that went the distance. Northbridge was ultimately able to walk away with the series win, and so it will be Northbridge Post 343 who will play on to the state tournament in Haverhill.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Coette. Make sure you check out full episodes of The Milford Informer on Milford TV. New episodes air every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. and then re-air frequently over the course of the weekend. Milford TV can be found on Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 38. And if you live in the Milford area and have an idea for a news story, you can contact us at news@milfordtv.net.